Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel of UiPath. In today's video, which is dedicated to citizen developers, I'm going to show you how you can easily pull an Excel from a web page and use the data from this Excel to update different fields on that web page. We are going to use a public website so everyone has access to it, and if you want to build your automation together with me, you're going to be able to do that. We are going to work with UiPath StudioX together with Autopilot, which is the GenAI embedded tool in the UiPath products. And we're also going to use the web recorder, which is going to make our life a little bit easier when building our automation. If you're ready, then let's do it. So I have already opened a browser. I'm going to use Microsoft Edge for this training, but you can also use Chrome or Firefox if you prefer. And I'm going to go to this website. It's called rpachallenge.com. It's a very basic web page. We have an Excel that we can directly download from the page. And if you open the Excel, you're going to see that we have different columns. And all the columns are basically the same as the fields that we have on the web page. So what we need to do here is to copy and paste first name, so first column in this field, last name, second column in this field, and so on and so forth. We need to do that for every row, and when we fill in all the data from one row, we need to hit the submit button. If you click on submit, you're going to see that the layout is changing. The web page, the fields are moving around the page. They are not always showing up in the same sequence, which means that we need to build an automation that is able to find the right fields even though the page is changing, which is sometimes what is happening when you work with a software that is going through different updates. So that's what we need to build. I'm going to use UiPath StudioX, so I'm going to open it. I have right now the version 2024.10, as you can see here. If you have a different version, the most recent one or another one, is going to be more or less the same. Maybe the layout is also different in the UiPath tool, but you should be able to follow even though your version is a bit different. I'm going to create a new blank task. I'm going to give a name to my automation, so I can call it RPA Challenge Website Exercise. I also like to add a description just to explain what the bot is doing. Bot downloads in Excel and updates the different fields like this. And now the tool is going to show me where I'm going to be able to build the automation. So if you're new to this UiPath StudioX, you're going to see it's pretty easy. It's a low-code, no-code tool. So we just need to put some blocks together in order to build our automation. Every time that we start a new automation, we need to tell the tool what are the different softwares that we are going to work with. In this case, I'm going to work with Microsoft Edge, which is a browser, and I'm going to work on this browser. So I need to tell the bot the resource that I'm going to use. So that's why I'm going to start by dragging and dropping an activity in the middle here, which is going to be the user application browser resource. So I'm going to take this one, I'm going to drop it on the plus in the middle of the screen. And what I just need to do is to indicate the application that I want to automate. So if I click on the link here, I have a green filter on my page. I just click anywhere, and the tool is automatically going to get my browser. Here is Edge, and also is going to extract the URL. So what should I do next? I want to click on the button here. I want to click on Download Excel to get my Excel. So what I want to do is to click. I can use the search bar on the top left to search for the activity. So here I want to search for a click, and I'm going to find a click activity which is in the application and web automation category. So this is the one I'm looking for. And I'm going to be able to drag and drop this activity I'm going to drop it inside the use browser activity, because if I put it inside, the tool is going to understand that I want to click somewhere in this web page and not in any other web page. So I'm dropping my click activity here, and I can just indicate where to click. So if I click on indicating edge, I'm going to see a green rectangle, and if I move around, as you can see, the tool is showing me the different elements that I can interact with on the web page. I see the labels, I see the input fields, basically all of the blocks that are built in the web page. So the tool is using the user interface exactly like a human. So if I want to click on my Download Excel button here, I just need to tell the bot that this is my target. So this is my button here, Download Excel, and I just select it. I click on confirm, and this is how I tell my bot I want you to click on the download button. I can test it. I can check if everything is working fine. So I can click on the run button here on the top, and then I should see a download triggered when the bot is going to click on download Excel. So I think you saw it was very fast, but if I go back to my page, you see that I have the download that has started. Good. So that's the first step. Then I need to work with my Excel. How can I tell my bot that I want to work with this Excel? Same logic. I need to tell it I want to work with Excel now. I need to use another resource, and this is going to be the use Excel file here. So I'm going to drag and drop this activity. I'm going to put it inside the use browser because I'm not done. After that, I need to go back to the web page. So if I want to connect the two, the Excel and the web page, I would like to keep it inside the use browser activity. So that's why I'm going to drop it here and not completely at the end of my workflow. I need to indicate my Excel file. So here I'm going to browse for it. I'm going to find my Excel in the downloads folder here. It's called challenge. And now I need to think about what I need to do with this Excel. In this Excel, I have a table. So if I go to the Excel activities on the left, I have all activities in the range section. And I want, for each row, I want to fill in the page. So basically, I need to, if I open my Excel, I'm going to take the first row. I have some data on the first row. I'm going to take the data, and I'm going to populate the different fields. I have 7 fields that I need to populate on the web page. And I need to do it for every row, right? I need to take the first one, then the second one, the third one, and so on and so forth. That means I need to tell the bot to repeat the same sequence of activities for each row. And I have an activity that is going to do this. I have a for each Excel row activity that I can use to repeat the same thing for each row in my table here. So that's why I'm going to use this one. I'm going to drop it in the use Excel file. I will need to configure it. So here, when you don't really know how to configure an activity, I always recommend to click on the plus. When you click on the plus, the tool is going to make some suggestions to you. And here, as you can see, it's telling you that probably you want to use the Excel, which is the name of your challenge Excel. That's the reference name here. It's called Excel by default. And you want to work in the sheet 1. Or maybe what you want to do is to directly indicate in Excel the range that you want to work with, which is a very good option here. So I can select indicate in Excel, and the tool is going to open my Excel. And as you can see here, I have an add-in, which means that I can directly select my range in the Excel. And I click on confirm. The tool is going to extract automatically the range name. And you see here we have the name of the Excel range with A1 to G11. So it's a very easy way to be sure that you select the range that you want in the Excel. I have some headers. So I need to tick this box here. If I don't, the bot is basically going to write the headers the first time it's going to populate the field. So it's not really good. It's not really what we want. So we need to be sure that we have headers indicated. And now I can configure the next steps, but I will need to create 7 activities to populate the data. So another option that I have would be to record all of the steps using the web recorder. I can record some dummy data, and then I'm just going to update this data using what is coming from the loop, from the for each Excel row activity in the Excel. So I'm going to click on the recorder here. I'm going to be able to record everything. So basically, I can select the first field. So in this case, my first field is going to be email. And I can say, select the action that I want the bot to perform. And here, I want it to type into this field. So I'm going to tell it, I want you to type into. And I can just put some dummy data. I don't really need to provide a specific value. I can just say, you type this, and that's it. I'm going to replace that with the data from the Excel, so I don't really mind here. I can put the same from the last name, so here I can put my last name, for example. And you see that every time the bot is typing, checking if everything is working fine, and on the right side of the screen, you see that the bot is building the workflow automatically. It's creating the entire workflow. What you can also see, if I select here the input field, which is below company name, what the bot is automatically doing is to add an anchor. And the anchor is basically the label of the field. That means the bot is creating a connection between the input field and the label on top of the field. This is why, even though if the web page is changing, the bot is going to find the right field because it's creating connection. It's going to look for the input field that is just below company name. That's why, even though the page changes, the bot is going to do things the right way. So here again, I'm putting some dummy data. I need to do it for all of the fields. So I'm doing them all one by one. And after that, I should also click on the submit button. So it's going to save the results, and I'm going to be able to type the values for the next row. So one more field to go, and then the submit button where I'm just going to click, and that's it. So here you see we have the workflow. I just click on save, and you can see the workflow of the activities has been generated automatically. So everything is already there. So what I need to do now is to make all of this dynamic. And to do it, to make it dynamic, I just need to move everything up inside the loop here, inside the for each Excel row activity. So I'm taking the entire block, I'm dropping it here in the loop, and now I'm going to be able to replace the values here with what is coming from the loop. So I'm going to use the plus. I'm going to take the current row. The current row is the row which is dynamic. So it's going to be the first one, the second row, the third row, and so on and so forth. So current row basically means the row that is currently processed in the loop. And because I told the bot that I have some headers, I can also directly indicate the right column using the name of the header. So here I need to type the email, so I'm going to take the current row email. Here I'm going to take the last name. So I'm just making all of the values here dynamic using the information that I have within this loop, within this for each row, for each Excel row activity. So phone number, first name, address, and that's it. Right. So now I have everything here. The only thing that is missing here is on the web page, we need to click on the start button before doing all the work. So I'm just going to add, after downloading the Excel, a clicking on the start button. And then I can just run everything and see if it's working fine. Good. All right. So I'm just going to close everything. I'm also going to close the web page. And then I just click on run button. So we should see the bot downloading the Excel and then populating the different fields. So here is opening Microsoft Edge, it's downloading the Excel. It clicked on start, that's why we see run 1. And now it has started typing the different information. Clicks on submit, and it's moving on with the second row, and so on and so forth. Good. So maybe what you're wondering right now is how we can improve this automation a little bit. Because if you noticed, when we tell the bot use this Excel file, we are targeting a very specific Excel, which is one that was downloaded. It's not using here challenge number 2 that was downloaded before. It's using challenge because I have now 2 Excel files that have been downloaded. So what we could do to improve our automation now is to tell the bot to use the Excel file that has been downloaded and not another one that could be in the download folder. And the second thing that I would like to do to make it even better would be to tell it to move this file from the download folder into another folder that I have on my desktop. And imagine that we have a real life use case here. If I'm working in a company, I need to extract some data every day. What we could also do to improve that would be to archive those Excels, and maybe we could put the date of today on it, so we know that we have processed the document that we downloaded every day. So that's what we're going to do here. First, we need to tell the bot to use the Excel that has been downloaded and not the one here which is hard-coded. To do that, I can use an activity which is called wait for download, which is going to do 2 things. First, it's going to wait for the download to be complete before moving on to the next steps, which is great because sometimes the download can take more or less time depending on your internet connection. And second, it's going to give us as an output the path to the file that has been downloaded. And this is what we are going to be able to use in the Excel file here. So I'm going to drag and drop this activity. I'm going to put it here. And I just need to indicate what is the activity that is going to trigger the download. So here is my click that is triggering the download. So I'm going to drop this activity here. And as you can see as an output, we have the downloaded file. So here, I'm going to create a variable because I would like to save this value and use it later. I'm going to use it later here in the use Excel file activity. So here I'm creating a variable and I'm saying this is my challenge Excel, for example. And this is what I'm going to use later here. What we can also do when the bot is doing that is to ignore some file extensions. Sometimes when you're downloading a document, you have some temporary file extensions, such as this one that is also downloaded. So we can tell it, don't consider those extensions. You just wait for, in this case, the Excel to be downloaded. So here it's not useful, but I'm just showing it to you because it may be interesting. So here I have the challenge Excel, that's my downloaded file, and this is the one that I want to use here. So instead of browsing for the specific file, I'm going to use a variable, which is what I created. It's called challenge Excel. So I have it here. And this variable contains a lot of different information, contains the name of the document. Also, you see the time it was created, the last access time, and so on. But what I want to use here is the full name, because the full name includes the full path to the document. So I need the name of my Excel to open it, but I also need the full path. So that way, I'm going to use the Excel that has just been downloaded, and this activity is going to wait for the download to be complete. So I'm not going to try to open an Excel that is not yet available. So that's the first step. And the next step, after doing all of this, what I would like to do would be to move my Excel that I have downloaded in a specific folder. So for example, here I have a folder, and I would like to keep all the Excel that I have processed. So to move a file, what I can do is to use a move file activity. I put it right at the end when everything is done. And here again, I know where my file is. I have it in my variable. So I can also use my variable here. It's exactly the same. It's challenge Excel with the full name. And then I just need to tell where to save it. So here I can browse for the folder. And I'm going to select my folder here. It's called RPA challenge. Okay. So now I can test everything. But before that, if I just move the file, I'm going to have my RPA challenge at the end, which is not a great name. If I need to download the document every time, what I would like to do would be to rename this document, this Excel file here in this case. So instead of having challenge saved in the RPA challenge at the end, I would like maybe to put next to it the date of today. So I know which one has been processed, and I have some kind of a history of all of the processing by the bot. So what I can do here is also to use an activity to rename the file. So if I just search for rename file, I have the option to rename the file. I'm going to select the file that I want to rename. So here I can browse for it. I just saved it. It's on my desktop. So it's a challenge. And I can give it a new name. And this is where I'm going to use Autopilot, artificial intelligence, to get automatically the name that I want. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to first copy the location of my file. And I'm going to use the expression editor in order to prompt directly what I want here. You see here I can describe what I want to do using natural language. So here I can say something like this: please rename challenge in the file, and here I just paste what I copied before, in the following file with, I don't want to have challenge, I want to have challenge maybe, and the date of today. And I click on this button here, which is the Autopilot. Autopilot is automatically going to change the name of the document with the date of today. So here you see we have the formula. It's going to replace challenge by the date of today, and I don't need to know how to write the date of today because the tool is going to do it automatically. Autopilot is doing it for me, as you can see here. And I want to keep the extension. So now I have built my entire automation. So what I'm going to do is to run it. I'm just going to clean everything. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to be sure I have nothing in the download folder. And I can just run my automation from end to end. So I'm going to let it run. So it's going to do, first it's going to download the Excel. It should be using the Excel that has been downloaded. So here the name is challenge by default. It's going to open this Excel, and then it's going to start populating the fields as we saw before. And at the end, it should be moving this file from the download folder in the folder that you saw on my desktop, and it should be also renaming the Excel file with the date of today. Not only challenge, but challenge plus the date of today. So here my bot is running, it's populating the different fields. It's on the row number 4. Everything is looking good. As you also notice, when the bot is done, it's closing the web page. By default, the bot is closing the web page, it's not keeping anything open after processing it. It's also closing the Excel, by the way. So that's why at the end we don't see anything. But what we should be able to see is the Excel saved in the folder on my desktop. So now we have 2 more to go. The bot is typing very fast. There are different options, different ways to type. Here I'm using the default option, but if you look at the documentation, there are other options to type that are even faster than what we see on the screen. So that's the last one. We have the success message, everything went well. And now if I go to my desktop, I'm going to see my Excel file that has been renamed with the date of today in European format. And if I go to my download folder, I see that there is nothing there. So the Excel has been removed and has been renamed as well. So that's it for this exercise. What I want to show you is that you may think about a lot of use cases that you have in your day-to-day work when you have to go to a web page, download the document, move it somewhere else and open it to populate different fields in another application. Would be exactly the same steps. You can use the recorder to make your life a little bit easier. If the process is straightforward, it's very good. You save a lot of time in building your automation. And you can also use Autopilot to generate things that are a bit complicated, like a date. As you see, you just prompt what you want and you get automatically the result. Thanks a lot for watching. And if you don't like a task, just automate it. Thank you and goodbye.